Welcome to the Metal Prognosis. My name is Lee. Now in today's video, we are matching up my little orange Dark Terror here with the KSR Eros pedal. Now this pedal is an enhancing pedal and you need an already decent sound to start with. So what I thought was, I have my low tuning guitar there. We're going to dial in firstly a good distortion tone just with the amp head. Then I'll swap cameras and put it to the Eros and see how much this can really enhance it and to push it. And then we'll do a bit of a playback and a bit of an A-B comparison. I'll do a little jam, like I do in all my videos, and isolate the guitars, and then we can see if, in your opinion, in your taste, if this is going to improve the sound or is the Dark Terror good enough on its own. So let's get stuck into it. The Eros KSR matching up with the orange Dark Terror. Now we have everything ready to go. I'll grab my Omsby guitar here, which is tuned down to G, which is a nice low, but also sometimes can be a little bit tricky working with tuning. So let's firstly quickly dial in something with the Dark Terror. More volume. Some gain. So the one thing I love about this Dark Terror is the shape EQ parameter type of thing it's got. So let me just chuck it about there. I'll do a couple of little different ones just so you get a quick idea before we move on to the Eros pedal. And this is kind of my personal preference, this position of the shape. I'll give you a couple of other different just samples. So it's kind of a weird, it is very versatile, but also very not in in a weird way. So yeah, that's a quick rundown of the orange Dark Terror. Not really a rundown, but we can mess around a little bit more trying to find with, whoop, knock the table, that's not good. With the shape knob. So, as I said before, that's kind of like my preference spot for it, but it is still a little bit too saturated, a little bit too muddy. So even if we drop back some of the gain, we lose too much of the aggression. If we crank it too high, it's just too saturated. So we had it roughly there, I think. So let's work with this anyway. Now, we can all argue to say that we can go a little bit more backwards and forwards and clean up a little bit more with the amp, but I don't think we can clean it up that much more. As I said, the Dark Terror is really cool, but it is very limited. So let's see now if we can sharpen up this sound with the settings that we're using right now. So I'm going to put this in fast forward mode and quickly just move the camera onto the Eros, and we can pick it up from there because we don't need to look at the amp anymore because we're not going to be touching it anymore. So I'll see you on the other side this fast forward. All right, back to normal speed. So now we've got the camera set up on the KSR. I'm limited with what cameras I've got to use. I do apologise about that, but we work with what we've got. So we engage it. Actually, before we engage it, let's just get a quick reference. So let's turn it on, and everything's set at high noon, so straight up. So let's just see how it sounds like this. Straight off the bat, that tightens it up and gives it a real push in the mids and highs without it even touching any of that. Compared to that's a huge difference. I could arguably not even touch anything from there and just do a jam with the comparisons. This just turned off and on. But I want to muck around with it. So what have we got? We have level, gain, two different switches here, fat, tight, thick, clip, clean, dirt, and a nice EQ at the bottom. So let's just see, we've got level. So that definitely does give it a boost, but I don't think it needs it that much though. So let's see the gain to see if that actually changes much of the sound or not. So it definitely changes it, but I don't think we need to max it. I kind of like the level. I kind of like it just a little bit past the high noon, but not majorly. So now let's see, we've got it set, he's left it pretty much on tight, which makes sense, yeah, because it is doing what it's doing. It's definitely tightening up the sound. So let's see what fat sounds like. totally did miss a strum there. But that's all right because we're looking at the tone, not my playing. We can judge that for another video. So that's fat, which is, we can definitely tell a difference there. I think tight is just more, that's definitely tighter. It is what it describes what it is, but I feel like it gives it more aggression. And I love aggression in my dirty sound. So let's go to thick. Back to tight. Yeah. I definitely prefer tight, just as an initial thought. But thick is really cool as well. But I just feel like tight's got a little bit more aggression to it. So I've got clip. Clean. Dirty. Before I move on, let's just do a quick A and B just with this, because we have moved a long way away from our original sound. So from this to this. That is awesome. Yeah, I think I prefer the clean setting for this. So let's quickly, I mean, I've done very little compared to the settings that I started with, but I'm still really liking it. Let's have a quick look at the EQ. Not that I feel like we need to change anything, but since we're here, let's see if we can give it a bit of a mid boost. A treble boost. Crank them both. Really interesting, because they definitely made a difference, but they didn't make a, they didn't cross over that threshold where it becomes too uncomfortable territory with the frequencies. Because sometimes not sometimes, the majority of times with EQ, when you push into the max, it gets a little bit not good and not pleasant on how it all balances in. But this is actually working out really nice, because having him crank sounded good, but even pulling him back sounded not too bad as well, which is good and bad. Good, because you've got that nice versatility to kind of shape it without hitting any bad territory of frequencies. But it's also bad because there's no no-go zones to go to, where it's like, I need to stay away from these sections. So you home in on which is the best section to go to. So we miss out on that kind of. So let's roll off the bass. Let's crank the bass. Let's do my usual go-to, which is roll back a lot on the bass, add some trebs, and a little bit of mids. And if we level them all again. They both sound good, but for different reasons. It's a good problem to have when you don't know which of the two good ones to pick. If this was a studio recording or working towards a project, then I'll definitely be having the other instruments here to kind of see where it fits in the best with those, and that would be how I make my decision. But just going straight off it as an isolated signal, don't know which one's better. I don't know. But the show must go on. So I'm just going to leave it on these settings here because I could absolutely go backwards and forwards and see how the EQs react to the different setting knobs if we had it on the fat or the thick or the chip or the dirt. They'll all definitely react differently. But as I said, the show must go on. So I'm going to try my best to stop stuttering and take a bit of time away from the camera. I'll compose a little jingle to play, share it with you, put it in a little Brady Bunch format that I like to do. And I'll do two different jams, one with it engaged and one with it turned off. And then we can hear the difference. I'll isolate the guitars in so you can hear a bit what they sound like in and out of the mix. And then we can have a good chat about it afterwards. So sit back, enjoy the tune, and I'll see you all on the other side. Time for my final thoughts on the KSR Eros matching up with my Orange Dark Terror. Now, this is the first amp that I've actually got to match up with this, so it was very interesting. So firstly, let's talk about just the Orange Dark Terror. As I said during the setup, I love what this amp can do, but I also can get a little bit frustrated on what it can't do. Not so much what it can't do, but the limitations with it. It's got a pretty cool sound, but there's not much to really work with. So adding something like this to it, though, really brought it to life. And we didn't need to really push much of it all in this pedal. You could really argue to say that just turn on and this is improved. And I think the prime example was during the jam. During the jam, just going with the Orange Dark Terror sounded pretty muffled, I think is the best way to describe it. And a little bit, it sounded like a little blanket was just put over the sound, where as soon as we engaged this, it felt like the blanket was lifted, more high-end frequencies came through, and it took out that muddiness and really tightened it up and really made the guitars pop. And when I say pop, I mean pop through the actual mix. So you can hear it better. It was a lot more defined. Playing them, I definitely felt that. When it was just the Orange Dark Terror, it wasn't a problem. But jamming through it was just kind of going through the notions where when I engaged this to do the jam, I could really feel while I was playing how much more aggression and the only word I can really think of off the top of my head is brutality that this brought to the tone. Now, absolutely nothing against this Dark Terror at all, but I'm a personal believer of amps are amps. They do really good, but with the way I play and with the aggression that I always like to add something to it, whether it be some type of enhancement pedal, whether it be the Eros now, which is definitely a part of that category, or even like a clean boost or something to give it that little bit extra more, especially with the Dark Terror, because there's an EQ parameter type of thing with the shape, but not an actual EQ section there, which I love when I'm kind of dialing in my tone. So definitely adding something, whether it be an EQ pedal beforehand or, I keep pointing this, but the video is about matching these two up, so that's fine. Something to the Eros there. So no, it was awesome. It was definitely awesome putting these together and playing around with it. And like all my videos, I could have definitely delved in a lot deeper and a lot more with this to see what else it has to offer, because it does have a hell of a lot to offer, especially for such a little unit, which is cool. Now, I was very fortunate because I was talking to a friend who's also a large gear enthusiast who got me onto this. He actually liked it that much. He had a couple of them, which is very fortunate for me because I got to grab this one off him and give it a good shot and to do this video. And I'll definitely be matching up with my other amp heads too to see how much it can change those sounds, because pedals do react differently to different amps and vice versa. So yeah, definitely appreciate the recommendation. And he did talk it up with good merit, because I'm in the same on the same page as what he is with his pedal. I think it does amazing on how it can really tighten up, especially with such a low tuning guitar. It is easy to get lost with a lot of those deeper notes, and you lose a lot of definedness in what you're playing and how you're playing it. So this kind of cleans it up and brings it to surface and brings it to life, which is very, very cool. And in saying that, I definitely think I have babbled on enough. So the question goes to you now. So how did you feel with just the Orange Terror, and compared to how it was when I engaged it? Did you think the Orange Terror did enough, or should have delved a little bit more time in this and left this too early, given this too easy of a chance to make it shine? Well, when I could have invested more time in the Dark Terror. Or do you feel like this is more of a must than a want? Or do you think it's more of a want than a must? Definitely keen to hear all your thoughts on it. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there because I definitely have babbled on enough. This was lots of fun doing and putting together, so I definitely look forward to putting the Eros to a few more tests to see how they match up with my other equipment. I say my other equipment and other borrowed equipment I do, because I will be asking some friends for some help to see how far I can push some of this equipment that I do have. So definitely appreciate you being a part of this conversation and checking out this video and all my other videos I do. Like all YouTube's content that is put up, it's always appreciated any likes or shares. And also subscribed if you haven't already, so you can see more of my little mashups that I do with different equipment and my demos and reviews. And definitely appreciate you being a part of the conversation and any comments that you have left either in the past or for the first time now. And saying that, I'll do my usual sign-off. Whether this video is in the foreground or the background, I absolutely appreciate your company and look forward to chatting with you again with future videos I do, or with the magic of the internet, past videos I've done, because that's a thing as well. And until next time, please stay safe.